It's a lifesaver. I have textured and rough skin. And when I use it, I look so pretty. Hi, I'm Kristel Yap. I'm a K-beauty makeup artist and I'm here to teach you how to do a glass skin makeup look. Today we have a special guest. We're here with
Pia Velasquez.
So the glass skin makeup look, actually it's a bit of a hard sell for Filipinos because many of us tend to have oily skin and it's super humid in the Philippines. So there's a fine line between glass skin and haggard. One really important thing to note is your own skin type and to work with that to ensure that you don't sort of cross the line into haggardness. So working with Pia's combination skin that's not purely oily, I still want to lean on the safe side and work with water-based formulations for her. So since there are dry portions, saan ulit yung nagda-dry mo?
Usually on the cheeks.
Uh-uh.
From here up to here.
So on the driest areas, we can add like a little bit of a watery anything that you have, like a facial mist or like a really liquidy or watery serum. Close your eyes. I'm going to focus on the cheeks lang. I use Tatcha Luminous Dewy Skin Mist. And then for the rest of her face, since it still tends to get oily, I'm gonna use the Tatcha water cream. So this is like a gel-based moisturizer. Then you really rub it in. Don't be afraid to sort of work it on your skin. Para yung waterier parts niya can really absorb and sink into the skin. So a lot of people, when they're beginning to use makeup, they're really reluctant to do skincare. I think there's a fear that because it's wet, the makeup's gonna slide off after. But that's why you really work on massaging it, give it time. So with skincare, it's important to get like that moist feeling. But yun nga, for it to be comfortable, you really have to look for a product that can sort of deliver some kind of wetness without weight. Next step, we're gonna try to cover up trouble areas. That's what they call it. So Pia has a bit of scarring right now from her acne scars. And you can easily cover that up. Take a shade of concealer that's the same shade as your skin. Use a pencil brush, that's something that's rounded here and then tapers to a point at the end. Then you dot a product precisely where she needs it. So again, to avoid cake face, what you really have to worry about is applying product only where you need it. Cake face happens when you apply the same layer and same thickness of product all across your face. And then this step is also crucial. Let it rest for a bit. Because when your concealer dries down like a little bit, don't let it get too dry naman. But when you let it dry down a little bit, you retain the coverage. It doesn't slip and slide all over the place. Because when you start to blend out at this state, it's just going to move around. And then you lose your coverage. So for the under eyes, so this is like a one-step color correction and concealing step. Pia's dark circles, if there aren't even that serious, so we can go straight ahead with a concealer shade that's her perfect match. So look up. And you sort of stamp it a little bit lower. Leave that little space there. Try not to flood your lower lash line with concealer. One, it looks unnatural, and two, it can be uncomfortable with the amount of movement that your lid makes in a day. It can creep in, it can make you teary-eyed, medyo mangangati siya. So make sure to use only blended product in that area. And after you've blended your under eye concealer, you can go back to your spot concealing and start blending out the edges. So don't touch the center where you really need the coverage. And then just blend the outside onto the rest of the skin. Actually, I think I will use my fingers na lang. Try your best to keep the center untouched. Okay, so when you've more or less diffused the edges of where you spot concealed, today I'm gonna show you guys how to do the Spatula Method. So this is a pretty new trend when it comes to K-beauty. I'm not yet sure if it's going to be a tried and proven thing, but I did try it and I did like it. So what you do is you take a spatula. So this is a spatula I'm gonna use. What's important is that it's a bit wide and it's long. Para kasi mabilis mag-work sa face. So what you do, you take foundation in your shade.
Do you also have any tips for knowing or shade matching?
Nako, it's a super long, it's a super long conversation. Pero kasi it's a trial and error. You can put the bottles of foundation close to your face and then try to guess. And then you can also swatch foundation across your jawline. So kung ano yung closest sa'yo, I think that's your shade. I watched some videos on how to do this. One Korean makeup artist suggested na with your dominant hand, you would start here and then parang go across so that you retain yung parang same pressure all throughout. But when I tried that, parang it didn't happen that way kasi pagka ganun ko, naubos na yung foundation for my left cheek. And I think what would be more helpful is how I also usually do my foundation. You start at the nose, tas ito, the spatula is at an angle. And then you start at the nose, and then you sort of just scrape it across the cheek. So don't worry too much about perfecting it, just make sure that most parts of the face have a layer. And then, before you go onto the other side, to ensure that it's more or less even, you reload product and then do the same. So this was more effective for me, but you can also try what the Korean makeup artist shared din naman. Then just using a sponge, I'm just using a disposable triangle sponge. You can use your beauty blender or whatever you have on hand, but a sponge is crucial. And then flatten everything. And then I'm just using the sponge to really press down the product and create an even flatter and thinner layer. So the idea is, once you've applied your initial layer, to look at yourself again with a fresh set of eyes and then reapply layers where you deem necessary. So I think I wasn't able to apply a lot on her nose. This part I like to secure because when people get tired throughout the day, they tend to have a lot of redness. It's central to the face.
Since you're also sharing tips, could I ask naman, what are the common mistakes people usually do or make when applying foundation?
Well, it's all about personal preference, right? Pero for me, I've met a few people who complain yun nga about cake face. And the thing that they do is they wanna be perfectionists, so they apply a very even layer on their skin. And yun, it's a pretty common mistake. Like, you don't need the same thickness of foundation all over your skin. It's still gonna look nice if you strategically place your concentrated areas. So right now, you do have product naman over your whole face. Although in my opinion, your forehead is pretty clear and yung pinaka-jawline mo also does not have blemishes. But kasi it has a layer of product, but it's like yung tira-tirang product na lang. And where I really stamped it on is here, where you have spots. And then dito rin, I'm stamping some extra. So it's taking some time, and I think this is also another mistake that a lot of beginners make. They think it's one swipe and done. And with a lot of really good foundation bases, I think you can do that somewhat. But I think most people don't realize that you do have to work it in, and you do have to wait and check, like visually confirm with your own eyes if it's already looking the best as it is. I mean, yung foundation mo. So for today, I used Makeup Forever Ultra HD foundation. So it's really, it's super duper camera friendly. And this kind of foundation, it really bounces light super duper well. When you're doing glass skin, HD might be a little bit difficult to work with for beginners kasi coverage is a bit limited, but you can use any foundation that has a glowy or dewy finish, as long as it's not matte. And then the third step for glass skin, and this is super important for you, Pia, people with oilier skin, you can do something I call reverse setting. If you want to retain shine, where you put it, basically you just set the areas that you do not want shiny. So we start with the jawline, leaving this area that I stamped wet. And then doing the sides of the nose as well. This tends to get super shiny throughout the day. And then really secure the corners of the nose. Even above the lip is fine. Also under your eyes, so look up. Then when the brush is too big, you can use a smaller brush to work around and make sure that you're not setting the stamp area. Close your eyes. These are also areas that I would normally contour. So, lalo na tong side of the nose. If you set that, especially contrasting with the wet and shiny middle, it's going to look like a contour and highlight combo. So, no matter what your face shape is, these are the areas that you would normally reverse set. Lalo na to, in between the brows, this gets oily super fast. And this creates like that really haggard T-zone oiliness look. So just take your fluffy brush and stamp it on gently over your foundation. I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. Super sikat nito sa TikTok right now, and for very, very good reason. It's a lifesaver. Ako, I have textured and rough skin. And when I use it, I look so pretty. With Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish, parang meron siyang perfecting vibe that I think hasn't been achieved by other powders so far. And this is your glass skin. So, things to remember when you're doing glass skin: start with skincare that already looks wet but doesn't feel wet. This is going to help you achieve that wet look without really slathering on so many wet and oily products. Second step, you can try the Spatula Method. This allows you to layer your foundation thinly and avoid cake face. And this really helps your skin glow. And then you can also try reverse setting, which is setting the areas that you do not want to shine. And then finally, you can also try the sponge method, where you stamp a glowy facial mist onto the areas where you want the glass to shine. Thanks for watching this tutorial. Again, I'm Kristel Yap. Don't forget to follow me on my socials. And don't forget to subscribe to Cosmo's YouTube channel.